Hi friends, it's Lisa Mears here. Thanks for joining me. In today's video, we'll be looking at the May Club products from the Stamps of Life. I'll be sharing with you the Stamp and Die Hard Club items as well as the card kit for the month of May. So the Stamp and Die Hard Club set for May is called Tropical Vibes. And if you're in the Stamp Club, you will get this stamp set. It has the Hawaiian shirt and there are some different stamps that you can stamp to make a pattern on your shirt, such as a hibiscus, a flamingo, a leaf, there's a pineapple. There's also a pocket you can put on that shirt, and there is a lei and several stamp sentiments. There's also the coordinating dies, so if you're a Die Hard Club member, you'll get the dies and the stamp set for the month, and these ship out on the 1st of the month. And the card kit ships out on the 15th of every month, and this month the card kit is called Sending Smiles. The card kit always corresponds with the Stamp and Die Hard Club of the month. So this month the card kit will have a tropical vibe. So here's the idea card. You always get an idea card with some sample cards that you can make with the kit contents. With every card kit you get a pack of envelopes. You can use those for your finished cards, and you also get a large plastic storage envelope that you can store your card kit contents in. You also get 12 sheets of 8.5-inch by 11-inch cardstock, and it's always in the colors of the card kit. So here we have the color Pool, we have Sunshine, Artichoke, Blue Jay, Cranberry, Cloud, Kiwi, Ginger Snap, and 4 sheets of the powdered sugar. So there is your color palette for this month. Here is a look at the pattern paper pad for this month. This is the Sending Sunshine paper pad. I love all of these Hawaiian shirts. You can even fussy cut those out and use them on your cards. Here is a hibiscus print. You also have a sheet of the Hawaiian shirts, and you can use your coordinating dies to die cut those out of the cardstock. We also have some more hibiscus in the ginger snap color, and then there's also this really cute retro van with a surfboard on top. We have a solid blue and some more colorful flowers, some more Hawaiian shirts that you can use your dies to cut out. You get a total of 4 of those sheets in this paper pad where you can use your die to cut those shirts out so you can make some quick and easy cards. So here we have some smaller of the retro van and some more of the flowers, and those flowers come in so many different colors that you can see on the reverse side of the paper pad. There were some pineapples, and then here are just some colorful blocks. There are some gray flowers and some leaves, and then we start back at the very beginning. So you get 2 sheets of each one of those pieces of pattern paper. You also get an A1 pineapple folded die set. So you can use this die set to make a pretty large pineapple that will fit on the front of an A2 size card, but you can also make it into a shaped card if you wanted to. You also get these hibiscus stickers, and there are some Hawaiian shirts that are stickers as well. Here is the word die, and this one says Sending Smiles. You get the shadow and the words. And then you also get some flower shape, and these are silver gems. They are in the shape of the flowers. And then you get some sentiment stickers that you can use on your cards in the colors of the cardstock. And here are just some wood round little embellishments. They have some palm trees on them. You can ink them up or use them as is. There's also one more club, which I don't have here, and that's the Fold It Club, where you get a large die to make a shaped card as well as some stencils each month. And if you decide to join any of the Stamps of Life clubs or even upgrade your membership, I will have a link in the description box of this YouTube video and on my blog, which will take you over to the sign up page. If you use my link, you will receive 500 bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. And I always appreciate when you click on my links to make your purchases because it does help support me and my YouTube channel so that I can bring you more content. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make some cards with the club products for this month. So here I'm just using the coordinating dies and die cutting these Hawaiian shirts as well as the tropical leaves that are in this pattern paper pad. These make for such quick and easy cards, and I really love being able to die cut these images so that it saves me time without having to color. Although I will be stamping out one of these Hawaiian shirts today and coloring one up with you on camera so you can see how I use that stamp set. So for my first card, I have some black cardstock that I pulled out of my stash, and I'm layering up some pattern paper on the black cardstock. So the floral print I cut to 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and I layered that onto the black cardstock that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then on the reverse of that colorful floral print is the solid green with the white flowers, and I cut that one to 5 1/8 by 2 and layered that onto a black piece of cardstock that's 5 1/8 by 2 1/8. The left and right sides on the long sides of that green cardstock will be flush with the black cardstock, but I did notice after I was going to put this on to the colorful pattern paper that I should go ahead and cut off the bottom edge of that black cardstock that's extending at the bottom of the green paper. So this bottom edge right here, I actually ended up cutting off so that the green paper is flush with the black paper, and then I'm going to glue that on to the bottom portion of the colorful flower paper because I already had that black border at the bottom. I didn't need to. Alright, so I have some circle dies that I cut a piece of black cardstock and white cardstock. I had a 3-inch circle die and a 3 1/4-inch circle die, and I layered those two circles together. I took the largest circle die one more time and just die cut a piece of scrap white cardstock, and then I cut it down the middle, and I'm going to put it on the back of the circle that I already put together. And I'm just doing this because once I add that circle to my card layer, the top part of that circle is going to be extending beyond the green pattern paper, and because that green pattern paper, when it was added to my card layer, it actually gives more height or dimension to my card layer because it's an additional 2 pieces of paper that are on that card layer which are giving it height. So I didn't want my circle here to not be flat on the card, and in order for it to lay flat on that card, I just needed to pop up the top a little bit so that it is equal height with that green pattern paper. So hopefully this all makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and add my Hawaiian shirt to the center of the circle. And then I'll bring in one of the red flower stickers and add it to the left side of the shirt. I was going to add 2, but I decided not to add 2. I'm just going to add the 1, and then I'm going to take out 2 of the leaves that I die cut from the paper pad. And if you run out of these leaves, you can always use your dies and die cut these from green cardstock and add more. So I'm adding 2 of these leaves and just inserting them underneath the flower. And for the sentiment, I'll be using one of the sentiments from the sticker sheet that says, "You're the coolest friend." I wanted to use the red one because it brings out some of the red in that card, and I'm actually cutting this down because I couldn't fit it without cutting it down. So I'm going to cut each word as a separate piece, and then I will add them to my card. Next, I'll go ahead and add this layer to an A2 size card base, and that's going to complete my first card. For my next card, I'm going to bring in one of the lays that I die cut from the pattern paper pad. And I just want you to notice that when I die cut it initially, I used the shadow die and it left me this white border, and I don't want that white border on it. So I'm going to come back in with the die that will just cut out the flowers, and I'm just lining that up over the die cut piece, and I'm going to use a piece of mint tape to hold it together so that it doesn't shift in the die cutting machine. And you can see that once die cut, it actually removes that white border and it is a perfect die cut. It did cut the centers out of the flowers, which is not a big deal because I'll go back in later and add some pops of color to fill those in. Pops of color are similar to Nuvo drops, but if you don't have any of those, you can always use your shadow die and die cut a piece of cardstock, and it just gives me a solid piece that you can layer the flowers on top of. But again, I didn't want that extra cardstock on the outside. I just wanted to have the flowers, so I'm not going to use that yellow shadow that I die cut. I just want to show you that that's an option, and if you did it that way, you'd be able to see the yellow in the center of the flowers. I'm going to go ahead and glue the flowers directly on to this shirt. And then once my card's put together, I'm going to come back in with the liquid pops of color and add the centers. So you'll see that here in a little bit. Okay, so I have all my pieces die cut. I have a scalloped square die. This is a waffle flower die, and I love this die because it has a stitching all around. I die cut a smaller one out of white cardstock and a larger one out of the red floral pattern paper. Just layered those two together. And then I have the paper that has the blocks on it, and I cut that to 4 by 5 1/4, layered that onto a piece of the blue cardstock, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then I'm layering that onto the red cardstock, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And by the way, if you are wanting to replicate any of these cards, I do have measurements all on my blog. So if I'm going too fast and you don't want to write these measurements down, just head over to my blog at Lisa Mears Designs and you'll be able to see pictures of all of my cards as well as all of the measurements. And I will have a link for the coordinating blog post down in the description box below. And if there's any extra supplies that you see me use in this video and you're wondering what they are or where I got them from, there will be links in the description box below for those products as well, and on my blog. Okay, so moving on to the sentiment, I have the sticker. It's a large red sticker. It says, "Wishing you calm seas, a cool breeze, and good vibes." I layered this onto a thick piece of white cardstock, and I'm just going to trim it down. The reason I did this is because I want my sentiment and that scalloped square piece to be the same height on my card. And if I were to just stick the sticker sentiment onto the card, they would not be the same height. So I needed to add some cardstock underneath. You can also add some foam if you wanted to, but I thought the cardstock is a more clean look, and it was just so easy because I just had to stick it to the cardstock and then just trim it down. So this sticker, and you'll notice that when I add it to the bottom of the card layer, it fits perfectly from the left to the right of that block pattern paper. So remember, the block pattern paper is 4 inches wide, and that's exactly how wide this sticker is, so I didn't have to trim it down, which is great. So I'll add the Hawaiian shirt right to the center of the white square, and then I'll add a flower. I'm going to put a yellow one here. I didn't want to put red because I think that would be too much red on the front of this card. I'm going to add one of the leaves. I'll actually add 2 of the leaves like I did with the previous card, and I'll just pop those right underneath that flower. And then I'll add that card layer to an A2 size card base. But I'm not done. Remember, I said I was going to bring in my pops of color, and I was going to add those to the centers of the flowers. I don't want those centers to be see-through, because right now you could just see the shirt right through the centers. So I'm bringing in this is the Gloss Sunshine color, and I'm just squeezing a little drop inside the center of each one of those flowers. You don't need a whole lot here, just a little tiny drop to add color. Keep in mind that this is wet. It shouldn't take too long to dry, but be sure it's fully dry before you handle your card so you don't smear the pops of color. For my next card, I thought I would make a really fun little scene with these retro vans, and I took 5 of them and just fussy cut them out of the pattern paper. There are 2 sizes of these vans. There's a larger van and there's a smaller van, and I'm using the larger van here. So for 2 of the vans, the ones that you see there on the top, the blue and the green ones, these 2 here, those are both pointing in the left direction. And then the ones at the bottom, I have 3 of them, and those are all pointing in the right direction, or it looks like they're traveling in the right direction. So I'm making a point to tell you that because when I add these to my card, I want to make sure that they're all going in the right direction. So I have a piece of black cardstock that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and a piece of the pattern paper that's 5 1/4 by 4. I'm using a green sentiment, and I also have 2 strips of black cardstock that each measure 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inches. So with these 2 strips of black cardstock, I want these pieces to look like a road that the vans are traveling on. So I'm just going to take out a white gel pen and I'm going to draw lines across the width of this black cardstock. I'm using this ruler to make sure my lines are straight, and I used the ruler on the left side to make sure I was right in the middle of that cardstock. So here's what the finished product looks like. So now I'm going to lay everything out on the pattern paper, and I'm using the pattern paper on the long side, so it's in the landscape orientation. I'm going to have the sentiment at the bottom, and then I'm just using my judgment to space out the black cardstock so that it's equal distance between each other. So I glued down the black cardstock and then put the sentiment sticker at the bottom, and now I'm going to add the vans. I'll add 3 of the vans to the bottom piece of black cardstock. I'm going to first add the one that goes in the center. That's going to be the green one, and then I'll add the 2 red ones on the left and right side, just spacing them out so that they are equal distance from each other. Next, I'll add the 2 on the top, and I'm going to center those between the open space above the bottom row of the vans. So as I was adding the second van, I noticed that the one on the right, it looked a little different, and I realized that it didn't have the surfboard on top because I actually cut it out of the very top line of that pattern paper, and the surfboard was not on it. So I went ahead and went back to the pattern paper and fussy cut out one that had a surfboard on top. So I'll go ahead and glue that van down to my card layer, and then I'll glue that layer down to a piece of the black cardstock. So you can see a little bit of the black cardstock peeking around all 4 edges of that card layer, and then I'll add that to my A2 size white card base. And that will complete my card. For my next card, I'm going to bring in the pineapple die set. This die set is so simple to use. It has 2 dies, and I'm going to die cut the detailed die out of this yellow floral pattern paper. I'm just going to die cut the bottom part of that. I'm just snipping off this top little piece that was from the stem of the pineapple. And then I'm going to die cut the stem from the kiwi cardstock. And when that comes out of the die cutting machine, I'll just trim off the bottom part that I don't need. And those two pieces put together create this really fun little pineapple. So the larger die is the shadow piece, and I just die cut that out of white cardstock, but I'm going to set it aside for right now because right now I want to do some inking over my colored die cuts. So I'm bringing in some darker green ink and just using a finger dauber and putting some ink along all of the stems. This is going to add some nice depth to this piece of cardstock. I'm bringing in an even smaller ink blending brush to get some more detail in those vertical lines that are going down the leaves in that cardstock. Next, I'll use a yellow ink and I will add some ink to the edges of the yellow pattern paper. I brought in two different color yellow inks because I wasn't sure which one I was going to go with. One was lighter than the other. End up putting the lighter one on first, but then coming back in with the darker yellow ink just to add some more definition to the edges of this pineapple. This shape also has lines and a crisscross pattern, and I'm going to bring in a more detailed blending brush and go over those lines as well. I also have a piece of the pineapple pattern paper. I cut this down with a die from Pink and Maine. It's the zigzag rectangle die, and I am going to splatter some black ink on all three of these pieces of cardstock. I'm using my brand new black luster brush marker from Scrapbookcom. I love this pen. It's actually the first time I've used it because I just got it in the mail. So this is a brush marker. It actually has the fluid inside, and it's just like a water brush where it has the sides where you can push to let the ink out, and that's what I'm doing here, and then just picking some up with the brush tip and flicking it onto the cardstock. And that just creates some ink splatters all over the cardstock, and it's just going to add for some more depth to these layers. So I'm going to glue down the yellow piece and the green piece to the white shadow layer. And I'm just loving how this pineapple turned out. Think about all the different possibilities of colors of pineapple that you can create. I actually was thinking of creating a hot pink one. I thought that would be really pretty and summery and tropical. So here I'm adding the pineapple pattern paper to a piece of the Blue Jay cardstock, and I cut that down to 4¼ by 5½ inches, and then I'll add the pineapple directly on top. I'm going to angle it a little bit to the left, and then I'm going to use one of the stickers of these shirts, and I'm going to add it to the pineapple. I like these stickers because they're smaller than the die cut pieces. I was thinking of adding a die cut shirt, but it was a little bit too large and I did not want to take away from that beautiful pineapple. So the smaller sticker worked out perfectly because it doesn't take away from the beauty of the pineapple. And then I stamped out the words Hawaiian Hello from the stamp set, and I thought about adding one of the chipboard circles, but I decided to go with one of the flowers instead. So I added a blue flower next to the shirt. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my A2 size white card base, and that's going to complete this card. So for my next card, I'm going to bring in the stamp set and stamp out one of the shirts. I want to show you how you can create a pattern on this shirt using some of the smaller stamps in this set. Remember, there was a hibiscus, there was a flamingo, there was some leaves, and you can actually create a really fun tropical shirt using those stamps. And you can also use this set just to make a shirt. You don't have to have the tropical stamps inside. You can use it just as it is. You can even stamp out a pocket on here if you wanted to. So I stamped out my shirt, and now I am going to mask off all of the white area around the outside of this shirt. And I'm using my Scrapbookcom mint tape to do this. So I'm just putting some mint tape all along the lines of the outside of the shirt. So you can see I put some at the bottom, on the left side, underneath the sleeve. I'm going to put some on top of the sleeve, and I'm just going to go around this entire stamp to put my masking tape, because what comes next is I'm going to take a smaller stamp and I'm going to stamp out a pattern onto the shirt. And when I stamp patterns, I like to stamp it so that some of the stamps extend past the lines of the shirt, and this is just going to ensure that I don't get any ink on the white cardstock that extends beyond the outside of the shirt. The ink will actually go onto the masking tape. So you'll see what I mean here as we progress through this. So I have my flower stamp on an acrylic block, and I'm going to stamp so that the flower is on the edge of the shirt. So you can see some of the flower is on the white part on the inside of the shirt and some is on the masking tape. And this is just going to make it look like it is a seamless pattern almost on this shirt. And then I'm going to come in with one of the leaves. I have that on a different acrylic block, and I'm just going to go through and just put a pattern on here any way I like, wherever these stamps are going to fit. So here I'm coming in with another flower. This one I'm just going to go ahead and stamp right in the middle, and then the next flower I'll put on the edge again so that part of it is outside of that shirt area. And then I'm just going to keep going back and forth between the leaves and the flowers, and I'm going to stamp up the remaining right side of that shirt, and then I'll move over to the left side. So you can see some of those leaves are extending beyond the edge. I'm going to put the flower here as well, and I'm just going to finish that process by stamping up the designs on this shirt. So here I'm just filling in a little piece of the white area at the top shoulder, and then I'm going to come into the bottom part of the shirt and fill in a little piece of that white area down at the bottom. Now that I'm finished with that, I am going to stamp out the lay stamp because I do want to have that on this shirt, so I'll stamp that out, and I'm ready to reveal by removing that mint tape. You can see that tape protected the outside of the shirt from being stamped on. So now when I die cut this, I won't have any of the black images extending beyond the lines of the shirt. So now I'm going to do some coloring, and I really wanted to have a pink shirt. So I'm going to color this shirt up pink. So I'm using my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens to color this up. These are water-based pens. And I'm just adding some of the peach pink color along the edges of the shirt. And once I add them along the edges, I will bring in my blender. You can also use a paintbrush dipped in water, or you can use a water brush to extend the pink color out towards the middle of the shirt. So it's going to be a little bit darker on the edges and a little bit lighter on the inside. I did stamp this onto some Bristol Smooth cardstock. That's the cardstock I like to use when I use my Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens because it really does a beautiful job with blending these markers. If you're interested in learning more about using these pens and coloring your stamps with them, I recently posted a video here on my YouTube channel going back to the basics with coloring with Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. So I discuss everything from paper to use, the types of blending tools that you can use with these markers, and a little bit of tips and techniques that you can use when coloring. So I will link that video here at the top right corner of this video and in the description box below. So if you're interested in checking that out, the links will be provided for you. I also want to let you know about something exciting I've been working on aside from making cards and trying to get my craft room up and organized. Aside from all of that, I've been working on some fun shirt, tumbler, and mug designs that I just added to my Etsy shop this week. All of my designs have the card maker in mind, allowing you to showcase your passion for this card making hobby of ours. I'm going to pop up some designs that I made here up on the screen so you can get an idea. And I'll also have more designs that I'll be adding soon to my Etsy shop. I will have the link to my Etsy shop down below if you're interested in checking any of them out. And I'll be posting a video here on YouTube soon showing some of these products, but I wanted to give you all a heads up first. So getting back to the coloring, for the hibiscus flower, I wanted to go with a blue color. So I'm coloring this up with the Azure blue and putting that blue towards the middle of the inside of the petals, and then using the blender just to blend that blue color out towards the ends of the petals. And I'm going to do that for all of those flowers. I'm coloring the center of the flower with the Mimosa, and because this is such a small area, I'm just coloring it up in the one color. I'm not even using the blender to blend that color. And then I move on to the lei where the leaves are going to be in the apple green. And again, such a small area, you don't even need a blender. And then I'm using the mimosa to color up the flowers with the blender to extend that color out to the ends of the petals. I colored the center of the flowers with the peach pink, and then after I colored the centers, I remembered that when I die cut this, that the centers will be popped out of those. So after die cutting and putting the card together, I'll come back in with some pops of color and I'll add those to the flower centers. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the lei on to this tropical shirt. I really love the way this turned out, and I love that hot pink. I think it looks so fun. So now I'm going to put my card together. I'm using the leaves pattern paper for the background, and I cut that to 4¼ by 5½. I also have a zigzag circle that I cut out. This is a pink and main die, and the blue pattern paper that's going across the middle of that circle, I cut that to 4¼ by 1⅛ inch. So again, that's just going right through the center of the circle, and then I'm going to glue that on to the pattern paper. And that'll be positioned toward the top. And of course, that shirt will go in the center of the circle. And this card, I'm using the Sentiment Sending Smiles, which is the word die that's included in the card kit. I die cut that with the Pool cardstock, and I'm adding that to the Blue Jay shadow. So that circle die cut piece and the shadow for the sentiment, they are cut with the same color cardstock, which is the Blue Jay. It's a very light blue color. So I'll go ahead and finish putting that sentiment together, and I'll glue that to the bottom of that card. I'll glue down the shirt as well, and I'm going to put it at a slant. And then I'm going to add a yellow flower on each side of the sentiment. I'll glue this layer onto an A2 size white card base. And then I'm going to add the Raspberry Kiss pops of color to the center of those flowers that are on the lei. And that's going to complete this card. So I would love for you to leave me a comment and let me know which card was your favorite. So remember, if you're interested in joining a club or want to upgrade your membership, I will have a link down in the description box below that you can use for 500 bonus club points to the Stamps of Life store. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like videos like this and want to see more, make sure you click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that you'll be notified when I release new videos. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.